On the next all-new My Adventures with Superman.
Wait, Clark!
What is this?
Clark, this isn't you.
Lois, I can't...
Clark! Clark! What's going on?
My Adventures with Superman. All new. Thursday at midnight on Adult Swim. Next day on Max.
Our Fooly Cooley Frenzy continues with an alternative marathon leading up to the world premiere of Fooly Cooley Grunge on September 9th.
Let me guess. You 17? You're all tangled up like in a knot, huh? And you're all muddled in the head. There you are!
Celebrate Labor Day with Fooly Cooley Alternative in its entirety.
Next Saturday from 12:30 to 3:30 a.m.
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Welcome to Toonami Therapy, the podcast where we discuss anime, and sometimes Toonami, too. I'm Michael.
I'm Tommy.
And we're here to do exactly the thing that I just mentioned that we do. Oh, we also often get on random tangents. Well, maybe not often, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Alright, so, we'll just be getting into it. As usual, we begin with the stuff we watched on Toonami, or at least the stuff we watched on Toonami that we particularly care about talking about. So we'll have Dr. Stone, episode 43. So basically, yes, we get definite confirmation that at least some of the people on this island have some kind of petrification device, because we see them in a flashback turn people to stone. So we also do find out that at least this one has a limited range. This, anyway, so they want to try to get, the lab back from the, ship, but of course, you know, there's a bunch of enemies there. We do find out, that Ginro managed to actually survive it, which leaves everyone a bit disappointed that it was him rather than someone much more useful. And they use the illustration of referring to those as like SSR cards, whereas Jinro is just a GRR. I don't know if that's a real thing, but anyway, so they were planning to do that, but then it turns out that Suika managed to dodge it also. So she's good, and she's apparently an SSR card in this analogy. And so yeah, now Ginro did get the information that they need the lab. So it'll be up to him and Suika to manage to get the lab away and to our main characters.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad we are finally starting to get some information about the petrification stuff. I mean, well, technically all we know is, well, some other people have it. But, you know, that's something. The jokes were pretty good, although it seems to, like, it mixed stuff up, because they say, it's like a gacha game. But I thought all that rarity stuff was, like, in card games, not gacha games. Maybe some gacha games have them. I don't know. The only my experience is mostly just playing like Fire Emblem Heroes, and that one doesn't have that kind of rarity. They're just 5, 4, 3 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just there isn't too terribly much to say about it. It was kind of a straightforward episode. There was some, but yeah, there were some funny things, like when they're just screaming, "I need the lab," and then they when they get noticed, they then claim that Senku's name is the lab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So then we move on to One Piece episode 626. So they're basically going out to get to the next thing, and then a bad guy shows up and attacks them, and he's able to like control people with collar stuff, and Law forgets that his special power would completely allow him to break those collars, because this is, as it turns out, complete filler. Not we're not doing padding, we're doing just simple filler here for which is a change of pace. So yeah, there's not really so basically, I mean, I guess it's filler, so it doesn't really matter. I was wondering, wow, the kid Momonosuke and Kinemon, the samurai guy, did they show up at all in this episode? It seems like they just disappeared. Well, there's your answer, filler.
Yeah, I didn't have much to say about this episode at all.
It's kind of funny because I've been saying, man, look, if you have to keep it going, just do filler stuff. You know, instead of all this padding, at least I'll know that it doesn't matter. And now they're doing it, and I'm guessing, well, I don't know. It's not that great, but at least I know it doesn't matter now. But don't get too excited about them doing this instead of doing all the padding, because this is a pretty short, like, mini arc of like 3 episodes or so before we get back to the canon, and then, of course, a bunch of padding.
Yep.
Honestly,
Padding and duct tape.
Yeah. Honestly, the fact that the pacing of this episode was actually did not feel super slow was maybe the indication that it was filler. You don't need to draw it out if it's filler.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there was technically a small bit of canon in this episode, but it was almost entirely filler otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have too much to say about that.
Yeah, and as you can see, our Toonami reporting is greatly reduced thanks to Adult Swim. Can you believe that 15 years ago, you could sit down at midnight on Adult Swim, watch anime until the sun came up, and then do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Now, what we get? 3 new episodes a week? I mean, we get a new Dr. Stone, a new One Piece, and a new Naruto, and that's it. So 3 shows a week. And it's kind of really sad.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with just how so much stuff is on streaming now.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they had all that anime stuff each night, but then but now you can watch all that stuff anytime on Crunchyroll or High Dive, or, well, they're the ones that have almost all the anime, and then Hulu or Netflix will have a few things. Go
ahead.
I was wondering, of all the stuff that they did air on Toonami, technically Adult Swim, they didn't call it Toonami then, the anime stuff, is all of it on Crunchyroll, or are some of it on some of the other services? Dang, I can't remember everything they showed. I feel like this stuff would be on Crunchyroll. I don't think I'm talking about the stuff back then. A bunch of the more recent stuff is in fact on High Dive, like Made in Abyss or the Lupin series. Oh, weird. Crunchyroll has seasons 2 and 3 of Fooly Cooly, but not the first season, and they're also only subtitled, so I don't know how all that works out.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to say, speaking of Hulu, we got it again. My mom wanted to watch a show on Hulu, so we're back to being Hulu subscribers. So in case there's any anime that's interesting on there, we can always try checking that out. Yeah,
I think there was a series. What was it? I haven't looked too deeply into it. I just noticed it seemed like it got some decent reviews on Hulu there, or maybe it was at Disney. I think it was Hulu, called let's see, what was it? My Happy Marriage. Oh no, wait, that's a Netflix, not Hulu. I'm sorry. Sorry to get your hopes up. For that.
I have Netflix too, so.
Okay. I don't know if it's good or not. I just know it got decent reviews, but sometimes that doesn't always mean every thing.
Well, you know, it doesn't mean anything with me.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So that's I mentioned we sometimes get on tangents. That was well, I guess it was kind of related, but still. All right, so we've figured that out, kind of, whatever we were figuring out. Oh, right, we got on that thing because we were talking about how they had a lot more anime on Cartoon Network, Adult Swim back in the day.
We didn't watch Naruto this week, so
yeah,
no fan fiction to speak of.
Yes, the series being how I want to know how much longer is it going to go on, because this is a kind of long arc that's all fan fiction in a dream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got that. I guess we can move on to let's see. Right, we got the last two episodes of Endo and Kobayashi Live, episodes 11 and 12. So, episode 11. So the Witch of Yore possesses Lieselate, except then she doesn't, because Lieselate beats her out, and then the Witch of Yore is like, well, I guess, I'm sorry, I guess I'm a good guy now. And basically we get a ton of exposition about backstory that I don't recall being hinted at much at all before. So to get actually in what was a pretty good line, I'll just skip through it because the character in the series gets a pretty good line that describes it. The gods had an infidelity issue and the world almost got destroyed. There you go. Anyway, so it turns out that one of those other deities went to our world or something and possessed that one guy we've been seeing a few times, the Kion guy, and then he's decides, well, we've got another episode, so we need something to happen because everything seems kind of resolved. So I'm just going to kidnap Kobayashi's sister and use her as a vessel or something. So then they have to go and stop him and to stop, and he tries to do the corrupting thing to Kobayashi, but then Endo's like, oh no, well, it's the last episode, I guess I should mention that I'm in love with you, and that solves the whole thing there. And Lieselate enters our world by taking control of a little doll that Kobayashi made because the other what was her name? Lirena that did a barrier. Basically that all that happened. Bad guy gets defeated. Everyone lives happily ever after. Sometime later, Endo and Kobayashi somehow manage to get transported to the game world to see Lieselate and see wedding, and that's all happy, and it's a really happy ending. The end.
Yeah, it was pretty much Beauty and the Beast, wasn't it? It was, she said, I love you, and boom, everything was solved. Everything's good because she said, I love you. That solved everything. So, happy ending, and Endo and Kobayashi are now in a video game that they played, and it's like, well, it kind of defeats the purpose of the whole broadcasting club that this show was originally founded on, and now I guess they're just gonna live in the fantasy world. So
the impression I got was that they were only temporarily transported there for the wedding. But the series doesn't really doesn't explicitly state it either way. But that was my impression, that they were just there temporarily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what to say. These were weird episodes.
it kind of, these two episodes kind of, remember, oh, I can't believe, what was its name? The sort of like thing they aired around Halloween on Toonami, the 4 episode thing where there's
Housing Complex C.
That was it. It reminded me kind of the last episode of that, although over 2 episodes, where the first half is just a ton of exposition, and then the second half just goes completely crazy.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I'm only speaking in general. There were a bunch of differences still, but it did, in a number of ways, these last 2 episodes felt like an ending to a series that we didn't watch. Because there was so much stuff just suddenly introduced about the backstory and who this guy was and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, I don't think this stuff was built up. I don't think this was just suddenly dumped on us. Now, I don't know if maybe it was and I missed it, or maybe this was better built up in the original light novel and the TV series didn't really include it. I don't know. But it really did feel like we were suddenly having all these things that we're supposed to know about, but then just suddenly get told, oh yeah, there's all this stuff going on in the backstory and it was really important. Yeah, it honestly, some of these just kind of made me think the whole like, okay, in this thing everyone gets a perfectly happy ending and the bad guy gets redeemed, except for the other bad guy who doesn't get redeemed, but he gets put into a coma and then maybe he'll get better when he wakes up. It's kind of unclear, but yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's the whole thing kind of like the pacifist ending of Undertale, where no one dies and everything turns out great and the villain gets redeemed and everything's all great. Unless you won the game on the genocide route, restart it, and then play the pacifist route, because then your game gets screwed up and you don't, and it ruins your happy ending by implying that everyone dies after all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was thinking a bunch about Undertale in this, which honestly is a game that I wasn't that big on. I mean, I liked some ideas in it, but on the whole, wasn't huge on it. And oh man, I probably made so many people angry with that take. But I was almost like, I'm wondering, wow, was this being influenced by that? It did get translated into Japanese a year before this, before the book came out, so who knows? So anyway, yeah, I guess that's just the ending. It's happy for everyone. It all works out, and we learn a bunch of backstory that I guess was important. But weirdly, I feel I'm still, because, okay, so this is all some alternate, because what we got, okay, so in the backstory, there were the 2 gods, and the god and the goddess, and the male one, Kuan, was that his name? He got warped to our world and possessed this guy. But then, how exactly did the game get made is my question. Because this apparently all happened in some alternate universe, and maybe this got explained in all the exposition and I missed it. I'm sorry if that's the case, but how did the game get made that was this copy of this actual alternate universe? Was there some sort of communication to the game developers? How did that happen? I don't feel like that was explained.
Developers.
What?
Yep. Developers. Yep. You aren't familiar with that meme?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me go to knowyourmeme.com and it will tell me, I assume. Let's see, developers. Doesn't seem to quite list exactly what it is. Let's just do developers. Okay. And,
from the Microsoft president once said it in a presentation.
Okay.
And it got turned into a meme. So.
Okay.
It's a really old meme. Okay, this is a really old meme, so I don't blame you for not knowing it. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I'm seeing some information about it. I'm just okay. So what was the context exactly of him saying the developers in relation to this? Sorry, you'll have to explain it to me.
Oh, just a Windows conference in 2006. He just starts going developers, and it caught like wildfire. And then people were making anime music videos with him saying it in there. So the AMV contest had a video with him saying that. So yeah. Crazy stuff, but it's really old, really old. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm just left confused as to how the game was a mirror of this alternate world. Except it wasn't even a mirror of the alternate world. It was how things would have gone if not for this intervention. So how did that get communicated to people? I feel like it never explained this exactly. So, and it's not like a video game come to life or whatever, because again, the guy from that game, like from that alternate universe, came here somehow. And again, I'm just left wondering, was this something that was better explained in the light novel or not? I'm honestly kind of curious and wonder, maybe I should look at that just to see, or look at the manga adaptation. So yeah, I kind of feel like I ran through the stuff to say in the about this final episode. Do we want to talk about the series in general?
Yeah, I was disappointed. Yeah, I thought it was a great concept. Okay, I thought it was a great concept. I was like, okay, they're going to be, helping this guy make the right choices in order to save it. And then it just turned into the slice of life type of thing. And the only things Endo Kobayashi ever did was yell, "What a great tsundere!" And that was pretty much it. And it's my fault because I picked it because Lisa Latte looked like Erina Nakari, and I couldn't resist another Erina, but she was no Erica. She was no Erina. And yeah, so it wasn't a bad show. It just wasn't very good. And, I just probably kind of forget about it. I probably won't remember this one. This one will go the way of Parasite or something like that, Overlord, something I just, it was okay, but I won't remember it.
Okay. Well, don't feel bad about like suggesting it, because I was actually interested in this show also. I was thinking, should I suggest it? So I might have done it if you hadn't preempted me to it. So although no, it's a great yeah, so I think I kind of agree on what you said. It was just sort of good concept. I don't think it really made much use of it. Too much of it was kind of like just slice of life stuff and characters get together, except I never really felt like I cared too much about most of their romances because I didn't think they were developed that much.
Develop.
Okay. Yeah, I set you up for that. So yeah, a lot of it I thought was just kind of boring. The ending was, the second to last episode I thought was kind of boring because it was just all of this exposition, and I'm just saying, right. Okay, I guess this was the case. The last episode, well, it wasn't boring. It was weird and just left me thinking, okay, I guess this is happening. but it wasn't boring, so it was definitely the better of the two episodes. On the whole, yeah, it was. I wouldn't consider it a bad show. I just kind of consider it kind of there. It had some parts I liked, but its biggest problem is just I felt a good amount of it was boring, and I feel like they really. It's weird that it felt stretched out for so much of it when you get to these final episodes and you think, wow, you really should have set some of this stuff up better. Like we like it's Lyrena, like she shows up. Okay, I'm pretty sure she was mentioned before, but I don't remember her being made much a big deal out of. So it's a little weird that suddenly she shows up and I'm like, oh, but who is she? I heard of her. I don't know this person and other things. And ultimately, I don't think we really got an explanation for how all this stuff with the game works. Like, in fact, why is this specific game even behaving the way it does? Because usually when there's, of course, several series where, people go to a game world or something, and sometimes, you need to explain, okay, what's going on? Are they actually in the game? Is this fictional? Is there an alternate world? And often they usually don't explain much other than like, oh, well, the information somehow just got to the developers telepathically. I did it without even trying. Because that was an episode of the Justice League cartoon where they go to this world where it's like all like the characters from this comic book series. One of the characters read are there, and he and we just get an explanation. Well, somehow this just got into the minds of the writers somehow, and you're like, okay, whatever, it happened somehow. That's your explanation, but I never feel like we even got that here.
Right.
So yeah, it's it's not bad, but it's definitely a letdown.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because when I saw the premise for this, like last year, I think I was looking and saying, oh wow, this looks really cool. I'm interested. And I ended up not watching it because I was thinking, well, maybe I'll suggest it for the podcast at some point. And you beat me to it with that. So yeah, great concept, not so great execution. And yeah, if any, but these are based on a light novel series. The TV series covers the first two. The third one, I think, is just like it has like a lengthy epilogue and a bunch of like side stuff in there. I guess if I look at that, it could give confirmation about whether Endo and Kobayashi go back to our own world or not. But
yeah,
like I said, I think that's the case. But the series, I don't think it explicitly says that. For all we know, they do just stick around there. But yeah, at this point, I'm just repeating myself. So I guess that's it for Endo and Kobayashi Live. Next week, we'll be checking out another series on High Dive, The Eminence in Shadow.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's about. I mean, I think I did have an idea of what it was about when I saw an advertisement for it, and then I kind of was like, okay, I'm not going to spoil myself, so I haven't looked at almost anything about it.
Do you legitimately know absolutely nothing, or are there at least a few basic things you know? Like, do you know its genre?
I guess not.
Okay, you know what? I'll just let you watch it, and you'll see.
Well, yeah, I'll probably guess wrong because remember that whole joke we had where I was complaining about too much shonen series, and I'm like, I don't like the shonen like Tokyo Ghoul, and you're like, no, Tokyo Ghoul's a seinen, and I was like, well, I'd rather have stuff more like Akame ga Kill, and you're like, no, Akame ga Kill is a shonen. So,
yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out.
Shonen and seinen really, like, they're often, especially shonen is used as a genre, but it's not. It's just the demographic it's for. I mean, a lot of times people use shonen as kind of a shortcut for the specific, like, shonen battle series, you know, like your Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, My Hero Academia. Like, that a lot of times when people just say shonen, they refer to that. But generally speaking, it's just, okay, what is the target audience for the magazine? If it's in Weekly Shonen Jump, it's the shonen series. If it's in Weekly Young Jump, it's a seinen series. And yes, it's weird that seinen, which is like, 18 and up, is in the magazine called Weekly Young Jump, but that's just how it goes. It's just literally where it is. JoJo was a shonen for years and years, and then it suddenly became a seinen when it switched magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it switched magazines early on into Part 7, so everything we've seen of it has been shonen. All right. Okay, so that's our Endo and Kobayashi live take. We can move into the last thing, Full Metal Panic episodes 8 and 9.
Okay, so the first episode is kind of back to school shenanigans and stuff, and Kaname and Sosuke having misadventures. And then the ninth episode, well, there's more of that, but now the captain from the submarine, Tessa, she decides that she's going to help with this mission to catch this guy who he lost his mind. I don't know how to, in fact, I didn't even remember this, so that's not a good sign for me that I don't remember this. But this guy gone crazy. He attacked the guy over his tie, and so Tessa has tried to subdue him, but as a result, she's staying in Sosuke's apartment, and of course, she decides she's going to take a shower right whenever Kaname decides that she's going to visit, and, well, the jokes write themselves. So, but to be fair, Full Metal Panic came out way before most other shows that have used the same joke. Full Metal Panic, this is from 2003. I didn't even realize that one of the voice actors in this episode died a long time ago. And he voiced that older military guy who was with Tessa. His voice actor died back in 2008. So that's a long time ago. So Full Metal Panic, it may seem like it's like a generic type of romantic comedy, but actually it kind of created most of these. It was more of a pioneer on these types of romantic comedy situations that we're seeing here. And I know this show gets a little darker as it goes along, but I really enjoy the romantic comedy parts of Full Metal Panic. That's, in my opinion, what's best about it. I don't really care for all the accident and the robots and all that, but so I really enjoyed these episodes. They would have won number one yet again on my top 3 if I was doing it, but I don't feel that's fair, so I leave it out, and that's what I got.
So, I looked him up. You're talking about Mike Kleinhens. I don't know if I pronounced that right. He died in 2008. It looks like he was later replaced with a different person because, well, you had to replace him with someone. And yeah, Kent Williams replaced him. He did. Oh yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. I'm just glancing over the list.
Goes in the Shell.
Kent Williams was he? Oh yeah, he was the Ghost in the Shell. He was. It says Kurahara in Ghost in the Shell. Wait, was he the one I was thinking? I thought it was a different person who. I only see him listed as being in Ghost in the Shell, the new movie. I don't see him.
Yeah, I just thought he sounded like a Ghost in the Shell character.
Okay.
That's why I looked him up in the first place.
Oh, okay.
I was like, wow, I didn't realize he died, and that was tragic. But yeah, I was just searching him because I was like, I know I've heard this voice before, but apparently I hadn't.
Yeah, the who was the main? Were you thinking that he was like Aramaki? From
Yeah,
Ghost in the
one
Shell?
of those people. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Aramaki. Actually, I think the guy who voiced him in standalone Complex actually died. Let me double check on to see who it was. Oh, the one who voiced Aramaki. He kind of has that was William Knight. He did Aramaki. I remembered him because he did the voice of one of the enemies in Stone Ocean, and I looked him up because I was thinking, oh wow, he died. Yeah, he died last year in late 2022. But yeah, that was William Knight. The one who did this voice in this series is Kent Williams. But they both got a Williams in there, and both have the other name starting with a K, so they're kind of a little starting with a K and ending with a T, so they're kind of a little similar there. Mm. Now, in regards to this, what is a little confusing to me though is the fact that Kaname, the way she reacts to Sosuke, I'm just thinking, like, you two were just in a literal life and death. You got kidnapped. You were in a life and death situation and nearly got killed. And he was super important in rescuing you. Why are you acting like you are now to him as if none of that actually happened? Like,
she's a bigger tsundere than Liese Latte ever was. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing, because that's one heck of its tsundere to just essentially, apparently, and it's not like it's not even forgotten, because he like mentions, well, all this stuff happened. She's like, well, yeah, but no one's tried to kidnap me now. And I'm just like, you got kidnapped. You know people are after you. You know this guy, even if he's kind of socially awkward, is in fact working to protect you. What? I was especially confused because he gives her the earrings and everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Or maybe it was a bracelet. I can't remember. But then he starts talking about how it could be useful in combat and stuff. And she gets really angry about it. I'm thinking, no, you could be kidnapped. This is good to have. So that just struck me as weird to go from to go. It's not just that we went from, like, you know, serious stuff to being comedy, because, you know, other series do that. Spy Family did that a bunch. It's just weird that she, after going through all that, she's just like, well, I'm just going to keep treating him normally. And I'm thinking, okay, that seems a little weird. That was more in the second episode than the first, though. The first one did have some pretty funny jokes. It was, even if it did, it amounted to the usual thing of, oh, hey, this girl needs a guy to pretend he's her boy friend to impress people and such. And even though it's a kind of stale thing, it was pretty funny. They did a good job with it. That was funny. It was weirdly, the second episode, I think I had more of a problem with, because I don't know. I just kept thinking you guys were in this life and death situation and bonded and stuff, and now you're just acting like none of it happened. Why?
Yeah.
I think the series is sorry. I think the series is better when it's just going for the comedy. The fact they put in all this action stuff and then just went back to the comedy as if none of it had happened just feels weird.
Well, that's why Fumofu is the best part of Full Metal Panic. It's all comedy all the time. Although there is fan service, and I know you don't like fan service too much, but it's just complete humor. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that one a lot more than this, and certainly more than the second raid, because the second raid I thought was not that good. But we'll find out. Maybe I'll change my mind on that, but probably not. But yeah. So that's Full Metal Panic.
Yeah, I am interested though to see more because you mentioned that I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, I cannot remember people's names the names are too Japanese. That's a problem.
Tessa, you talking about Tessa?
Yeah, or actually, that's not a Japanese name. They're but so I don't know why I said that. Oh yeah, no, her name is Teresa Testarossa. So okay, that was wrong. The I don't know, a bunch of the names just kind of blur together for me. I can remember the names of the main character, the two mains, but other people not yet. Anyway, you said you remembered really liking her, but couldn't remember why. So she did show up in this episode. Didn't really get a chance to do much, but maybe we'll see more of her going forward, and that will make you remember.
Yeah, I think it's because she serves as a good foil for Kaname, who doesn't want to admit that she likes Sosuke, but now she views Tessa as a threat to her. So now that the love triangle thing really comes into play, and it's really enjoyable to watch those two kind of fight it out over it.
Okay.
So yeah, they describe Tessa as like a tritagonist, or I don't know if that's the right word, but she's basically a third main character of the show from here on out. So she just didn't really show up until like Asuka did.
Oh wow, I looked it up. I never knew tritagonist was a word until now, but apparently it is. I knew protagonist and deuteragonist, or however it's pronounced, although I haven't really heard deuteragonist used that much. Like protagonist people use, deuteragonist not so much. Usually it's like more, usually people actually will just like say like, secondary protagonist instead. But yeah, okay, maybe she's the tritagonist, the third most important one.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a new word today.
Mm-hmm.
There does not seem to be a quadtagonist, though.
That would be Ruby.
Okay. Well, no, that would be Yang, because she's the least important of the four.
Well, I meant the series.
Oh yeah, I know. I was trying to make a pun off of that to say, well, she was the one who got the least attention. At least in what we saw.
Yeah, that's for sure. If any attention at all.
Okay. All right, that's our shows. And then I guess we can go into the top three, which is, again, well, we've only got we've got four shows to go through, and one of them you say that you aren't going to rank. So I don't know. So that makes things a little weirder, but a little harder for me. Well, first would be Dr. Stone, then Full Metal Panic, then for One Piece and Endo and Kobayashi, I'm in the weird position of, well, the One Piece episode was better than the first episode, but I think it was worse than the second. So, well, it's its last option. I'll just give it to Endo and Kobayashi live this week, third place, I guess.
Okay, for me, well, you know the top three, but third place, One Piece. Second place, Endo and Kobayashi live for the final time. Dr. Stone gets the first place mark for the second straight week, even though it is true that it's not having as much competition. It's kind of sad that One Piece, we've been watching it like all year long, and yet it's still in a tie for ninth place in my top three poll.
It's just a problem that One Piece, it's a problem it's had for a long time and will continue to have. It's the fact that they don't want to do filler arcs, they don't want to take breaks, so they and the manga is still being released, so they have to basically pad every chapter of the manga into a full episode. And that makes it go really, and they have to do all this padding and stuff, so every time you watch an episode it feels like you only watched half or even a third of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And until it fixes that, which it's just going to keep doing with that until it fixes that, until we get a One Piece Kai, it's just going to keep having that problem. There is like a fan edit online called One Pace that tries to cut out all of, like, you know, the reaction shots and things to make it paced better. I've never seen it, but so I can't comment on it. But honestly, at some point I would not be surprised if we legitimately do get a One Piece Kai at some point. Cut out all the padding and give us better paced episodes. I mean, why not? It gives you an excuse to make more money off of it, and all you have to do is do some editing. No new animation required.
Mm-hmm.
Because One Piece the manga is ending sometime. Like, it's in its final arc. Now, never underestimate the power of a long-running shonen series to drag out its final arc. So, One Piece, don't expect it to be ending, like, for years yet. But it's at least going towards its conclusion at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll be 60 by the time it's over.
Well, by the time the anime finishes airing on Toonami at the current rate, I think the manga will actually end before that point. Okay, that's those series. Yeah, don't have too much else to say. I guess I've been I'll just mention a few things. So I decided, okay, I'm going to rewatch ReZero. Well, dubbed in Spanish. So it's an interesting experience in which I only understand about 70% of what's being said. But I'm doing it because, I don't know, I had reason to rewatch it, and I wanted it to be something I watched before. But looking at it again, I think the first few episodes, they're still kind of fun. I think some parts are a little tedious once you've seen it and you already know, yeah, okay, this is going to happen and Subaru will die and we'll reset all of this. But yeah, after seeing so much isekai stuff with boringly overpowered protagonists, I'm like, yes, a series where the main character, when he goes like, I've been reincarnated to a fantasy world, I'm going to do some cool spell, and nothing happened. And then he gets beaten up and dies. I'm just like, oh, this is such a relief. This, unlike I need to, like, so many things like, this is what I want, not I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world, too. Or, my unique skill makes me OP even at level 1. And by the way, those are actual titles of series that aired this year. I want to make it clear.
What about, didn't I ask to make my abilities average in the next life?
Yeah, that one at least watched a little of it. That one's at least, I think, that one at least was trying to go for a comedy. Although I did see complaints that the anime skipped and changed a bunch of stuff from the light novel. So I don't know. That goes. I thought, well, it's okay. It's at least like a comedy series about the character being overpowered, rather than it like, so it at least was doing something like that. Anyway, so ReZero, yeah, it still was kind of decent. It was interesting to look back at some of the reactions when it first premiered. Like I was looking, okay, what did the guy that's at Anime News Network say? And honestly, they weren't really that impressed by the first episode. And I was thinking, man, if that premiered now, would they be more positive after just having so much of the, like, I went to another world and now I'm crazy overpowered series, to see one where the main character isn't overpowered and just gets beaten up and killed?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah, I guess there's more stuff I could talk about, but I don't know if I want to be going on for too long. Enid,
yeah.
So, but at least so far, I'm still enjoying it. We'll see how it goes as I go on, and let's see, and maybe we'll see how things go when I get to season 2 and can understand even less of it than the first time around. Okay. All right, I guess that's everything. So, everyone, we will see you next week for the same stuff, except we're going to be trying Eminence in Shadow. 2 episodes. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll like it. Maybe we won't, and we'll drop it after 2 weeks of 2 episodes. Or who knows? We're unpredictable, I guess. Now that you've gone through my obligatory trying to awkwardly end things, I guess I'll just actually end things now. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Today it's August 17th, 2023. This is Toonami Therapy. I'm Michael.
I'm Tommy.
And this is our podcast where we talk about anime we have been watching, and sometimes Toonami as well. Okay. So, let's see. We got some news since the last time. First well, darn it. Did we know this last time and didn't mention it? The fact that they were that for 1 week they're going to have Dr. Stone, and then a marathon of season 2 of Fooly Cooly. Then the week after that, they don't even have Dr. Stone, just a rerun of the 3rd season. So, I don't know exactly how we'll work all that into it. Also, we've got they are going to show on Toonami, it's official, they are going to show Attack on Titan Season 4, Part 3, Part 1. So yeah, we'll probably cover that when it happens. But I guess this does confirm the fact that I remember a while ago they made some kind of agreement like years and years ago that they would be the ones to premiere the Attack on Titan dub, and apparently that's still in effect because they're still getting it, and it hasn't been at least I don't think it's been put up on like Crunchyroll or anything yet. Let me just check quick. But yeah, there. So that'll be something to. Well, I don't know if it'll be something to look forward to exactly, but it'll be something in the future. All right, but in the meantime, yep, it is not dubbed on Crunchyroll yet. So, we'll get to that when we get to it. In the meantime, let's talk about the anime stuff. The new anime stuff on Toonami that aired this week. So we have Dr. Stone, episode 44. So basically, with Suika's help, Ginro and Suika are able to get the lab off of the ship and brought to the others who managed to escape with it. Then they decide, well, okay, so we need to try to actually, I can't remember exactly why they, because I know there's a thing where like the village chief or whatever like chooses like girls or something, and they're trying to get people to be picked to do some kind of plan, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Whatever it was, they were like, okay, let's try to get as many candidates as possible. So they basically invent shampoo and makeup to make Kohaku look better, and then they also decide, well, let's have Ginro dress up as a girl and try to pass as well. And then they managed to do it. Oh yeah, the whole reason they're doing this, I think, is to try to see if they can get the petrification weapon. That was it. I don't know if they have any specific plans on how to do it, but that's what they are doing. So yeah, that's the episode. All three of those end up getting picked to be presented to the chief or whatever there was. So yep, that's our episode.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a excuse for us to get some fan service of Kohaku, even though I don't find Kohaku all that attractive anyway. But yeah, they had some interesting moments in this episode. I thought that the Suika moments were pretty cool. So yeah, that was a pretty good episode, I thought.
Yeah, it was fun. It was funny. There were some decent jokes there. Honestly, if I recall correctly, there was more fan service with Kohaku in the previous. No, not maybe that's the previous one, but the one before that. I don't know. There was more. There wasn't that much here, but yeah, the idea was, I guess, to try to make her look more beautiful. Although honestly, I thought she was decent looking before. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So fun episode. Then we got One Piece, and man, we just don't have too much stuff to talk about on Toonami now. I mean, do you want to talk about my adventure with Superman? I didn't really have too much to say about it, but Fooly Cooley. We could talk about Fooly Cooley. I don't know.
Did we watch Fooly Cooley?
I think we did. Yeah, no, we watched it. I don't know if you paid that much attention to it. I only was kind of half watching it because I saw it before. Oh well, we've got other stuff to talk about, I guess, that's not on Toonami. Oh wait, we did watch Naruto. We can talk Naruto. There we go. Yeah. There's something to pad it out. In the meantime, we got One Piece episode 627. So so let's see. Basically what happens is the bad guy decides to force Luffy and Law to fight each other because Law has still forgotten that his power should allow him to break the necklaces easily. I mean, if the series had just said, "Oh well, haha, your powers won't work on this," that would have been something, but I don't think they ever did. Anyway, then they make, but then he decides to stop that and have the weird, I can't remember what its name is, the monster thing looks kind of like Ma from Made in Abyss. Was that his name? I think it was Ma. Anyway, so then that makes them fight, or yeah, I think that was it. I don't know. This episode, anyway, makes them fight. Then, yeah, that's basically it. I'm sorry. So the problem is, I've been saying, man, I wish One Piece would, instead of just having all this padding, they would have filler. And just to clarify, filler is when it's just like completely original material, like a filler episode. Padding is just when you take what's there and you just kind of make it take longer. So this is filler rather than padding. The problem is, since I know it's filler, I'm just like, okay, I guess it doesn't matter that much if I pay attention to this. So I don't really know if I have that much to say about it. It was okay.
Yeah, I actually watched this episode twice because I I didn't get enough of it the first time. It was so good. No, not really. I watched it again because I kind of fell asleep halfway through this thing the other night, and I couldn't remember it. So I watched it again, and I still don't remember it. So yeah, it was pretty forgettable. This was just a pretty boring episode, I thought.
Yeah, it honestly, it's not even like particularly interesting filler. Like I remember some filler stuff we saw in One Piece, like that one when they were when the bounty hunters were after them. That wasn't great, but it was better than this. It at least kept some of my attention. I'm just like thinking, just take breaks. So many other animes do it. Like My Hero Academia does it. Demon Slayer does it. Jujutsu Kaisen. Those are like the biggest anime right now, and they're willing to take breaks. Just take some breaks, and you don't have to do padding or filler. Except for when like you need to advertise a movie or something. Then My Hero Academia will put in an episode of filler for that. All right. So then we've got Naruto Shippuden episode, let's see, this was 450. We've had this whole big arc because the people are all like in the infinite Tsukiyomi, or as some people have called it, the infinite filler Yomi, where they're all having their dreams. So Tsunade's dream to show, which apparently is her ideal world, is for her to spend a bunch of time reading Jiraiya's fan fiction about the characters, because that's what we get to the end of. Naruto and Sasuke fight in something that's very clearly, very strongly influenced by their fight at the actual end of the series. So, and then they kind of beat each other and like, well, okay, I guess that's the end of that, and that has resolved everything. And then she stops reading the thing and then just goes off to do stuff in the dream because I guess she got tired of the fan fiction. Yeah, so that was kind of the end of a very weird filler arc. Yeah, that's there. The weird thing about these Naruto episodes is that they don't actually give you like context for it. Like, imagine if you had, you hadn't watched Naruto for a while and you just came into this episode and you're thinking, okay, I'll see what's going on. And you would be so completely confused because you'd have all this stuff happening and you're thinking, oh, okay, this must just happen later on. But then you find out the whole thing was something that Tsunade read, and then you would see that Tsunade's actually encased in one of those things for the dreaming things, and you'd be like, wait, what happened? What's going on? Because it never explains it to you. I think after this, it goes to being partially filler. At least that's what the anime filler list or whatever website I looked at said. It's at least just not complete filler. All right. There you go. Naruto Shippuden, the end of this arc of the infinite filler Yomi. We've still got more of it. I do like that title that people have called it, just infinite filler Yomi. Much wittier than when they just called all the stuff between Naruto Shippuden filler hell. Infinite filler Yomi. Now that's a name.
What does Yomi mean?
It's supposed to be a pun on the fact that the characters are caught in the infinite Tsukiyomi. So they just took infinite Tsukiyomi and call it the infinite filler Yomi.
I see.
I don't know exactly. Actually, I'm not even sure what Tsukiyomi means. Let me look that up.
Sure.
Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi. Okay. Oh, Tsukuyomi. I've been slightly mispronouncing it this whole time. Yeah, it just means don't know if it technically means it. Oh yeah, literal English means moon reader.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. The Tsuku is the one that means moon, and the Yomi is reader. So it would mean infinite reader. It would be infinite filler reader. Then, okay. All right. That's all our Toonami stuff. Then we can move on to the other stuff we've been watching. We got the new show that we checked out. But first, we've got Full Metal Panic, episodes 10 and 11.
Yeah, so basically, you have your Tessa and Kaname both managed to get captured and then have a dramatic prisoner exchange, which is always fun. And Shinji Ikari shows up in the form of that guy who they had there, and he's there with his sister, and they are up to no good. And then the other people come to rescue them. And then there's a scene where they're trying to torture Kalonin, I think his name is, into giving away information. And as usual, whenever they say, come here close so I can tell it to you, and then obviously they're going to steal the gun off them, which is like, it's like, okay, that's funny, but it was kind of obvious that's what they were going to do. Yeah, so I kind of forget where the second episode left off. I just thought I just remember enjoying both of these episodes a lot. Obviously not eligible for my top 3, but I did enjoy them a lot.
Well, what happened at the end was, what was his name? Tamuki. It started with a T, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it was Kamuta? I can't remember. But he, gets into the big giant robot thing and is going to apparently attack with it. And, yeah. And the character base is basically, in a lot of ways, you call him Shinji Ikari. I didn't realize till this episode that, oh yeah, that is totally Spike Spencer doing the voice. And not only that, he basically is, except instead of, having, basically wanting to, impress his father, it's all about trying to impress his sister. So, so it really, this is just kind of like the beginning of Avon Gellion, except him getting into the giant robot because of his sister instead of his father.
If there's even a time whenever he says something like, I mustn't run away, he says something very similar to that. Something about not running away. And I was like, okay, that can't be a coincidence. Yeah.
Maybe he did. I feel like I heard that phrase. Was it in this or was it a different thing? Because I remember sometime in the last week I noticed that I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of like Shinji. Although I feel like it was a character telling someone else not to run away. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, if that was here, that would probably not be a coincidence. There's one thing that was really weird to me though. So that's the part where Kaname, when she goes in initially, finds until she goes to Sosuke, and then what was her name? Was it I'm trying to remember the name. The girl, the other girl.
Tessa.
Oh, that was her name. Okay, I thought it might be Tessa, but I was thinking that doesn't sound right. Okay. So yeah, Tessa, and he says, "Oh, well, she's just my superior officer." And then, except for some reason, Kaname doesn't believe him and says he thinks it's an obvious lie. But I'm confused as to why she wouldn't, because like she doesn't bat an eye about the fact, oh yeah, they've got this guy, chained up there, and he's some kind of enemy or something. And she's like, just is like, oh yeah, well we need to stop the transmitter. That's him. Okay, we use this microwave to do it, and it works. And yet, after all that stuff, it's then after that she has to be told, no, really, she is his superior officer. So I'm like, why would she not believe that? Because when she was referred to being an obvious lie, but then it's completely going along with everything else. I thought, oh, well, maybe I misunderstood what she was saying, maybe. But then it comes back and like, no, she didn't. She did think it was a lie. Why would you think it was made up after everything you've gone through in this scene?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little weird. Because she's just fine with them having a guy tied up and thinking, okay, they've got some transmitter thing, but apparently has to be actually being his superior officer is the point at which she won't accept it. Okay. Anything else to say about that?
No, I enjoyed it, even though that what you said is kind of funny.
The series does kind of, I feel, and I saw someone mention this before, it does like comedy and it does action, but it kind of sometimes feels like it's two different shows.
Mm-hmm.
In that, so yeah. All right, so we did check out, at your suggestion, The Eminence in Shadow. The show that you suggested, and then you told me you couldn't remember why you suggested it. All right. You want me to cover it, or do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 2 episodes here. We watched 2. And so just the first 2 episodes. So our first episode has this one girl get let's see, she was like some kind of actor or something, and she's a fellow student of this other character. Well, his name doesn't in here matter. He gets a different name, but Sid. I'll just call him Sid. And she gets kidnapped, but then it turns out Sid is basically a wannabe Batman, so he just goes in and beats up the kidnappers and saves her, although she doesn't know it's him. And then suddenly isekai.
Yeah.
Because he gets hit by a truck, and we're actually doing a bona fide truck here, not like getting pushed off a thing, not being crushed by something or being overworked. We're on the classic truck coon, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's the end of the episode, and then we get a post-credit sequence that is essentially just an advertisement for the show. Like, if you were to show me that after credit sequence, and I would have thought it was a trailer for the series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's episode 1. Episode 2. We like I said, suddenly isekai. So it's isekai. He is just reborn into the other world and such. He has some kind of cool magic power thing. And he ends up saving this. He ends up saving this girl from like these bad guys. She's turning into some sort of weird blob thing, but he undoes it, and then he just makes up this story about how this thing about the cult of Diablos and stuff, and how they're trying to take over the world or whatever. And she's like, okay, well, we got to get an organization together to try to fight them and stuff, and then basically, we kind of cut forward. There's some more. She has gotten more people. There's a bunch more of the people in the organization, which they call Shadow Garden. All of them cute girls, of course, because you gotta appeal to people. And then his sister gets kidnapped, so they go to try to save her. And he thinks they're just regular bandits, but they actually apparently that cult of Diablos he made up is actually totally real, and he just doesn't realize it. So she gets all saved, and that's all good and stuff, and then goes off to magic school or whatever, I don't know. And then all of Sid's waifus tell him, "Oh well, we got to go off and not be with you for a while." And yeah, that's, I guess, our cliffhanger. Why are they leaving him? I don't know, but they're all in like the opening credits, so they're probably going to stick around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, I'll be honest. I thought I was watching two different shows. Like, when I saw that first episode and I saw the second episode, I'm like, wait a minute. Did I even watch the same show? So, yeah, that was kind of startling. Yeah. I actually enjoyed this. So I enjoyed the second episode a lot more than the first one. First one had some icky moments, and it was kind of disturbing, and I was starting to wonder if I should even be watching it. But after that, though, that I really liked the second episode, and I felt like, you know, yeah, it was a interesting couple episodes. I'm still confused on what the name of the main character is. Like, he said like so many different names for himself that I don't know what his name is. Do you know what it is?
It's so in the first episode he has, of course, like his name on Earth, but then he gets reincarnated into the other world, and that's basically what his name. His name, I think, is just Sid.
Okay.
CID, because you got to spell it weird. Like how in Lloyd in Spy Family spelled LOID.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my thoughts were, well, first, I'm glad we watched 2 episodes, because I had heard repeatedly from people that the first episode was not representative of what the series was actually like. So apparently, this is all based on a light novel series. Apparently, that stuff in the first episode was actually a flashback that happened way later in the series. Because like the stuff there actually ends up mattering later on, so you get a flashback to it. But it's kind of baffling to me to put that as the first episode, because it does not relate to the rest of the show as far as I can tell, until like I said, I did look into it. It ends up mattering, but like way later. And when I say way later, I mean it doesn't even matter in this first season.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know who made the decision to just put that in there, which is in very different feeling, doesn't really set up the setting or anything. I would legitimately suggest to anyone who wants to check out the series, just skip the first episode. Just start on the second episode. The second episode is the first episode, essentially. I considered making a big joke thing where I was saying, well, we watched 1 episode of the show. I'm not sure I think there was an error because I accidentally watched an episode of a different show at first, but I almost did that, but
actually I was going to say that too. So it's too bad I didn't say that, because that would have been funny, because I felt like I watched 2 different shows.
Yes, as I understand from it, the series is much more reflective of the second episode than the first. So, so basically, yes. I'm just going to like put the first episode aside. Like the second episode was pretty good. It was a decent introduction to it. It also kind of shows what apparently is like a big joke of the series, which is that the main character is convinced all this stuff is just him role-playing for fun, but it's apparently all actually real, and everyone else knows it's real. And I did like the bit where the person's like showing the map and saying, okay, here are the hideouts of the places. Where do you think they took her? And he just throws a knife at the thing, all dramatically says, it's there. And then he thinks, well, I missed, but oh well. And then the place he hit was actually completely correct.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do understand this is a bit more of that's kind of a joke throughout the series. I was a little surprised by the violence, even in the second episode. I mean, it's not like super violent, but there's more blood than I expected, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that's ultimately kind of what we were saying. Second episode was pretty good. The first episode, not so much. Again, if you're interested in checking out the show, just skip the first episode. Maybe check on it later after you finish the rest of the series. Because like I said, as far as I understand, it does not matter at all until much later. At which point, that's what they should have done. This only matters until way later. Fine, then have this flashback way later. You don't just put it at the start and get everyone confused. Okay. Yeah, I'll also give it credit. This second episode had a poop joke that I actually thought was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it. So hopefully, going forward, it will be more like the second episode and less like the first.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I thought that second episode was a pretty good start to the series. Just throw out that first episode, and yeah.
Okay, and that's it for those series, I guess. We can all right, we can go into our top 3, although these are increasingly easy because we've only got 4 shows, so it's really just a matter of picking the order. Yeah, so for me, well, Eminence in Shadow is tricky because it had a really bad episode and a much better episode. So so you got to kind of figure out how to average them out. I think I'll just put in when I think about them averaging them out, I'll put Eminence in Shadow in 3rd, Full Metal Panic in 2nd, and Dr. Stone in 1st.
Okay. My picks are The Eminence in Shadow in 1st place, Dr. Stone in 2nd place, and Naruto in 3rd place because I thought One Piece was that bad. So, so yeah, Naruto makes it on for the first time. I mean, I guess we don't watch it every week, but it's the first time Naruto has appeared in the top 3 this year.
Well,
did it make it last? Wait a minute. I don't think it ever did last year.
I feel like there was an episode we both really liked, but I can't. But it might have been before you started keeping track of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like we need to find something more to watch, but at the same time, I'm thinking, well, we've got a kind of decent thing, and I don't know of watching 2 episodes of these things, so I don't know what to do there, but I don't know. We can figure something out. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to talk after the podcast because some scheduling. There's some scheduling problems for next week, so we'll have to talk that out.
Yeah, okay, we can figure some things out then. All right. In the meantime, I don't have too much else to say about. I mean, there has been some other anime I've been watching, but I think I'll talk about it later because I want to get a little more of it before I start saying things. But yeah, that's all I really got. I don't think I had anything else to say. Did I have any notes? No, not offhand. So. Yep, we can, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
calling the Justice League. We need your help.
Grim. Yeah, not pretty.
There are so many of them. How did this happen so quickly?
Kilgore.
Really? Really? I had the weirdest dream.
It wasn't a dream. We were in Kilgore's digital world.
Then he got away. We need to stop him.
He's working with someone stronger.
Someone smarter.
So, what do we do?
We need to find Team Ruby.
You know, it's bad all over, but why does it feel like they have it out for us?
Good to see you again, Ruby Rose.
Clark!
Here, it's Superman.
We're different here.
I feel amazing!
I wish we reconnected under better circumstances. But our world hangs in the balance.
What is that?
They made a new Grim.
The Grim have evolved. They're sort of powered to fight us.
They can shift to our weaknesses.
How are you doing this?
Whoever is working with Kilgore, what they're doing will destroy us.
We need to end this.
Kilgore! Come face us!
You come into my territory and expect to win?
Let's go stop some monsters.